ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਗੋਬਿੰਦੇ ਮੁਕੰਦੇ ਉਦਾਰੇ ਅਪਾਰੇ, ਹਰੀਆਂ ਕਰੀਆਂ ਨਿਰਨਾਮੇ ਅਕਾਮੇ। ਗੋਬਿੰਦੇ ਮੁਕੰਦੇ ਉਦਾਰੇ ਅਪਾਰੇ, ਹਰੀਆਂ ਕਰੀਆਂ ਨਿਰਨਾਮੇ ਅਕਾਮੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So today Maharaj is going to explain about Salok 122, 132. Salok 120. So Sikh says to Guru that Maharaj, you have done Vyant Kirpa to explain that I'm not the physical body. After that, I have started to think that maybe I am the subtle body. But since you have blessed with this gyan, that I am having this understanding that I'm not the subtle body as well. Now please explain, who am I then? As the Atma resides within the body as well and is present outside the body too. So where does the Atma resides within the body? This is because we can only understand Atma from the body level. So Maharaj, Sikh is doing benti to Maharaj to explain that. Guru Maharaj says, we have discussed thoroughly about all the different aspects of physical and the subtle body. We have thoroughly understood them by subdividing them into different categories. After going through this in so much depth, if still you have not understood what Atma is, then it is such a matter of agyanta that yet you have not understood. But still, for your betterment, I will explain further. So the subtle body, which is mind, intellect, chit, and ahankar, this subtle body becomes the cause of the physical body, the body that we see, such as shape, form, qualities, family it is born into. It is the subtle body that inspires us to take that form. But there is something beyond the subtle body, which is the Atma, the consciousness. It is because of the consciousness that the subtle body exists. So the mool cause of both the subtle and the physical body is the Atma. The third body, which is the causal body, which has no form or structure or color, nor does it have a beginning, but because for something to begin, it requires time. But the Atma is akal, beyond time. So time has no effect on it because it does not take birth nor it dies. This causal body is formed because of Atma itself. And no one can tell that since how long it has been in formation. But there is definitely an end to this body. No one can explain when the Maya came into being. But there is definitely an end to the Maya, which is the subtle body. Maya is only as long as there is a Gyanta. In Gyan, there is no Maya itself. Home. Maharaj is going to explain about home. So the Ankar asks the intellect to give the knowledge about the Atam Sarup. It is the home that asks all these questions to awaken the observer within. Now the Antekarn is about to destroy its separate identity, because when it does darshan of Atma, then it becomes Atam Sarup only. If darkness does ardas to Maharaj to experience light, And as soon as the moment the light appears, the darkness is dispelled. Same way, Ahankar, as the medicine, talks to the intellect that give me the darshan of the Atam Sarup so I can always remain in that peace forever. So when Sikh does ardas to Guru, then Maharaj bless me with this Anand. And the cause of that Anand is losing your separate identity. That's why Maharaj says, home dhirag rog hai, daru pees mahe. The home becomes the medicine because it is the home itself that questions all that and asks Maharaj to help him understand the Atam Sarup. It is because of home that all these questions come. It is the Prema Rupa. When Prem occurs, meaning Sikh has become Guru Roop and he has become Ananda Roop then. As long as the Sikh considers himself to be separate from the Guru, the Paramanand state is not reached because there is still a duality. There is still difference between there. Thus, in the same way, Ahankar says to intellect that how about we destroy our own identity and have darshan of the Atma. That permanent state comes when Ahankar and the intellect gets destroyed. Guru explains to Sikh that in the sleep of Maya, the world is just like a dream. The world has no existence of its own. Only that thing exists that is beyond Kal, and only Atma is beyond Kal. Everything else that we see has taken form and it will get destroyed as well. But the Atma was never born, nor is destroyed. It is beyond time. But in the sleep of Agyanta, the sansar appears, the world appears. Meaning, due to Agyanta, there is one me, then a world, and then a Paramatma. This is because the Ankar is in sleep, and in the sleep, it creates the world. It creates the separateness. The state of awakening. So Mara explains it is the state of wisdom. And what happens in this awakened state? When one does not consider himself to be separate from the Paramatma, he knows that the body is going to get destroyed, but Atma is going to remain forever. This is known as the awakened state. Among many awakened beings, there was Hanumanji, Vashishtaji, Guru Sahib, all the Brahmgyani who composed many granths based upon this. So the awakening state is that where there is only Paramatma and no separate identity. Maharaj says, Guru Prasad ko virla jage. Only rare, go virla, where rare. Only those rare beings are fully awakened. So Maharaj Kirpa, that's a very rare thing. Sikh asked Guru that Maharaj, please explain what is the Sarup, form of that Atma, and how does it reside in this body? So that this illusion of separateness runs away. Guruji says, the energy, which is the consciousness itself, is the one that operates the mind, intellect, and all the senses. The consciousness gives energy to all, makes the senses experience and perform actions, but it itself does not perform any action. Yet all the actions are done because of it. Maharaj explains through different analogies here. By giving analogy of electricity. Now, does the electricity give light or does it operate a fan? So when the electricity is in the fan, it blows air. But when the same electricity is in the light bulb, it radiates light. So is the fan blowing the air because of itself? Or is it due to the electricity that it's operating? The electricity itself does not blow the air, and the fan cannot blow the air without the electricity. Same way, without Atma, no action can be performed. So if there is no Atma, there is no actions can occur. When the death of the body comes, then what is that energy that has left the body? And if body was the doer, then how come it does not perform any action when the Atma has broken its connection? How come it doesn't move around? How come it doesn't talk? What changed? So when the Atma leaves the contact with the body, it appears to be not performing any actions because it is Nirgun Rupa. Thus, when the Nirgun Atma and the Sargun, the physical, comes together, then the action is performed. So Mara explains that's how it works. Nirgun and Sargun together, action is occurred because of that. Another analogy is, so just like the same space element is present in a clay pot. Imagine there is a clay pot in a room. And the space element that's present in that clay pot, as well as the room, that's the clay pot is present, and the same space element is present everywhere on the earth. It is the same space element. When the pot breaks, the space that is present in the room remains there, and when the room is destroyed, the same space element is present in the world. Now, did the space element die? It's still present as it was before. Only the pot and the room was destroyed. Same way, Atma is beyond Sukh and Dukh because it is not the body, but the one giving energy to the body. So when this body will get destroyed, and it is gonna get destroyed, there's no doubt about it. Did the body die? The Atma remained same there. It was the body that got destroyed. The Atma did not go anywhere. Because it is the same Atma that's within the body and outside too. It doesn't need to go anywhere. It's everywhere. Third analogy. So just how due to the sun rays, the human beings wake up from the sleep too, and we start performing their like the worldly actions. The same way when Atma is present in the body, it causes action, the body moves and experiences different things through senses and get knowledge as well. But when the Atma leaves the body, leaving the body doesn't mean it goes somewhere, it just means has lost the contact with the physical form. The body itself then ceases to exist on its own. This Atma is not born. It does not get destroyed and it's present everywhere. Kaviji says one should always remain still in this state, which is an immense treasure of peace. Maharaj explains that just like how fire is present in the wood, and when you rub the wood against each other, it produces fire. Same way, the Atma illuminates the senses, the mind, and the intellect. It resides within and outside the body as well. So just like when rubbing the wood, the fire becomes visible. It's not like it's not present there, it's already there. But just like when two pieces of wood log are rubbed together and it makes the fire visible, same way when the wisdom is understood and the vichar of wisdom is done in the intellect, in the buddhi, with the Gur Shabad, then the Atam Darshan happens. It's like rubbing two logs of wood together. That's why vichar of Gurmat, of Gur Shabad is important too in the buddhi level. Maharaj has given that buddhi to do that. Atma is the one that illuminates all the senses. Atma is the one making all the senses function. So Maharaj is saying that the mind should stay with this Atam Sarup only. The one that is always conscious. Now let's ask ourselves that let's say a person who has the physical eyes but have no sight in them, can he still see with his eyes? He cannot. Because the Atma is not giving the light to the eyes. But if it's giving the light, but the eyes are closed, then still we cannot see anything. So if we close our eyes and there is still light there, well, we cannot see anything. That's therefore when the Sargun and the Nirgun, the form and formless, comes together, only then an action occurs. When Atma is in the body, only then we move around, we read or do vichar. So it is the Atma that is making all the senses perform their individual functions. However, it does not get affected. The praises and qualities of Atma are beyond description. Because any description can happen only at the level of intellect and through senses. The Atma is beyond all the senses. A limited thing can never describe that which is limitless. In order to describe something, we need words, we need understanding. But how can one describe something that is beyond the description? That's why Maharaj says, Akatha ki katha. Maharaj says, Jyo chak gunga muskare. When a mute person tastes a sweet, let's say a mute person has tasted a sweet, how will that person explain? Because he's not able to express through words. He's mute. He can only experience it. Even if he finds all the words, he won't be able to do it. Same way, something that is limitless, it can only be explained through the intellect. But when that thing itself, the Atma itself, is beyond the intellect, there is only so much even the buddhi can do. So the Atam Sarup is without birth, without destruction, and is present everywhere. So Sukhdev Maharaj says one should do the company of this Atma. And what does it mean to do the company of the Atma? It means whatever qualities the Atma has, one should practice those exact qualities in his life. One should consider himself of that exact Sarup. Maharaj says, Man tu jot sarup hai apna mool pashan. That's how the man recognizes its own sarup. Since Atma is beyond dukh and sukh, then I should remain beyond this dukh and sukh too. Whatever happens in the body, the mind or intellect. Because dukh and sukh is only happening up to these levels. Atma is parpuran, present in everywhere and everyone. Same way to see yourself in everyone else too. In Bible as well, Jesus Christ, Maharaj says this too, that love your neighbors as you love yourself. See yourself, that Atam Sarup, in everyone and everything else too. Mara explains, just like when a person looks at his reflection in the mirror and does not consider the reflection to be separate from him, and while looking at that reflection, he decorates himself. Same way, the Brahm, just like the reflection, appears to be as a separate identity, as Jeev. The Jeev is the reflection of the Brahm only. Just like when we look into the mirror, we can only see the qualities of the body, but we cannot actually touch it through the reflection. Same way, we see the qualities of the Jeev, but we cannot touch the Brahm because it is beyond the senses. So the Jeev is nothing but a reflection of Brahm. Now let's say if we remove the mirror, then we cannot see ourselves in the mirror because there is no mirror to create the reflection. Same way, if we remove the Maya Rupi mirror, which is the illusion, if we see Maya as Brahm only, then only Brahm remains because it is Brahm looking at Brahm then. So when one does a Vyas of Gur Shabad, the Jeev no longer exists. Only Brahm remains. तू करता तू हुआ, मुझ में रहा न हूँ. Kabir Maharaj ji says, जब आपा पर का मिट गया, जत देखो तत तू. By reciting तू करता, तू हुआ, all that remains is Brahm. When there was no difference between me and the other being, all that remained was the Brahm itself. So the mirror gets removed. And what is this mirror? It is Ahankar. When Ahankar is removed, then Jeev is removed. Then Sab Gobind hai, Gobind bin nahi koi. And Ahankar is that, as previously discussed, is that labeling, attaching yourself to that one particular thing or the thought. So Mara says we should be in this company of this Atma that is not born, nor it gets destroyed and is always present. Maharaj explains that just like how when the rays of the sun falls on the eyes, and that's how we see the form of the sun. In the same way, it is through the Shabad only that we see the Brahm. It is the Brahm only that gives light to the Shabad as well. Maharaj explains through analogy. So just like how so many beads are weaved in one thread, if we see a mala or a necklace, something like that, and if we observe closely that the beads are they are weaved in there is one thread, and all the beads are weaved in that one thread. Same way, the Satyachit Ananda, the consciousness, is like the thread, and the Antekaran, the mind intellect, which are all the jeeves, are the beads. But the thread of consciousness is holding us all together. That consciousness is present in everyone, but is still detached. The beads can not know the thread, but all the beads are still because of the thread. Same way, all the jeeves are because of the Atma. Just like how so many activities are happening in the sky. Sometimes there is fire, wind is blowing. No matter whatever activity is happening, it does not affect the sky itself. The space element does not break with any activities, whatever is happening. Same way, all the activities are happening in the consciousness, and due to it, but it does not get affected by any of the activities. They are just happening. Maharaj says, similarly, every day we should do abhyas of being in this state of Atma. The Sarup that the Atma has, which is Satyachit Anand, we should practice the same in our daily life. Let's say if a person goes into a room that is full of mirrors all around. I'm sure we have seen one of those rooms that's covered with all the mirrors. And because of those mirrors, he looks at his different forms, his many forms. And what happens there? In one mirror, he appears as a short person. In another, he's tall. In another, he's slim build. In some, he appears to be ugly. In some, he appears to be beautiful. So, based upon the quality of the mirror, but he himself is the same one person, but it only appears differently. Same way, Satyachita Ananda Rupa Atma is one only, but in Maya it has many forms. Somewhere it is in Rajogun, somewhere it is Tamo, or combination of all, somewhere is Tamo and Rajo. In this way, it appears differently in all the 8.4 billion life forms. But the consciousness is one only. The different forms appear differently, but in reality, it is one only. Now, if we fill a lot of pots with water, and when the sun rays fall onto them, then the reflection of the sun appears on each pot. But does it conclude that there are so many different suns? The sun is one only, but because of the pot, the reflection of the sun is visible. Same way, Atma is one only, but in all the bodies, its reflection is visible differently. It appears differently through all the different reflections. And all these different forms are created because of Atma. But in the bondage of the actions of the karam, the jeev experiences dukh and sukh. So as previously discussed as well, that jeev is that because of tamogun who has forgotten his sarup, his real sarup. And in that agyanta, he considers himself as this body. In this way, he performs actions and thus experiences dukh and sukh. Then, based upon those actions, he again takes another lower or higher form of birth. Maharaj explains through another analogy. If you notice, if you haven't already, go to a nearby lake and observe it for yourself. So, when you look at the lake, if the wind touches the middle part of the water in the lake, then the waves are formed. But if you notice somewhere at the corner of the exact same lake, where there is no contact of the wind to the water, there is no waves present. The water is the same. At some place, it is in motion, and at some point, it is absolutely still. And in that still water, you can see your face as well. But whenever there is some kind of motion going on, you're not able to see your face. Same way, Maharaji explains that's how same way the Atma, when in the form of the motion, it appears as different forms. It takes the form of all the Jeev. But the same Atma, when it is in the stone form or in the Jad Vastu is that which does not move from one place to another. It creates no motion. It is the same Atma everywhere, even if it is in a conscious form or non-conscious form. It is still present. When a foolish person looks at the clouds that have covered the sun, he thinks that there is no sun anymore. Same way, when the clouds of action come in front of the Jeev, he thinks there is no Paramatma. He does not consider that he is unable to see Paramatma because of those actions. But in reality, has the actions covered the Paramatma, or is it Jeev's vision that has been covered? When we cannot see the sun due to the clouds, does it mean the clouds have covered the sun? Or is it that those clouds have covered our vision? It is the clouds that have covered the vision. But the clouds are not big enough to cover the whole sun. Same way, no one can cover Paramatma no matter how bad one's action may have been. But because of the actions, we are unable to see Paramatma. That's why all the Mahapurukhs instruct us first to perform better and good actions. When the Jeev starts doing good actions and they start performing good, do seva, simran, and they let go of the bad ones, slowly the cloud starts appearing less. And he starts seeing the slight brightness of the sun. Then again, Mahapurus give him upadesh that whatever good deeds you are performing, do not have ahankar in them. Don't think that these good actions are happening because of me. Do nishkam karam, nishkam seva. Meaning have no expectation anything in return. After performing any action, do not have any expectation that some dukh or sukh will happen. Only do actions for the Parupakar and surrender them to Akal Purukh Maharaj. When actions are done in such a way, then the cloud of Agyanta is destroyed and one gets darshan of the sun. So Sikhs ask Maharaj, why do we see so many forms then? Even in human beings, they all look different and behave differently, even if they belong to the same family. Kaviji Maharaj explains that if a pure white pearl is kept near a red color flower or an object, then due to the reflection of that color, the pearl will appear to be red as well. Same way Atma has no effect on itself. But when the when the effect of the action appears on Atma, then we think one person is bad and one is a sant and the other one is a thief. Due to their actions, some are called sant and some are called thieves. Some are doctors, some are engineers. It is because of the actions only. The Atma is like that pearl, meaning it has no effect of the actions. Maharaj explains through another example. When there is reflection of the moon upon the water, and due to the waves in the water, a foolish person will say that even the moon is wavering. But the moon itself is not wavering. It is the reflection of the moon that appears to be moving. But actually, it is not even the reflection as well. It's the water that's moving. Is the reflection moving or the water? It is the water that's moving. Same way, the Atma does not waver, but the Jeev is seen to be wavering while he's performing the actions or experiencing dukh or sukh. The Atma does not waver. The same way, a foolish person thinks that Paramatma is in dukh or sukh, or he is in the cycle of birth or death. But Paramatma is still and does not waver. Same way, Maharaj, when we see a foolish person like me will see Guru Sahib or Krishna Maharaj ji performing actions, or when Maharaj Guru Tan Guru Gobind Singh ji, when his Sahibzade attained Shahidi, someone said that Maharaj shed tears as well. Now, yes, it appears like that, but he himself was Atam Sarup. Why did he cry then? That is just because to be part of the game. He himself was not affected by it because he himself is in Atamavastha. So sometimes it appears like that, but Paramatma itself does not waver. But to perform this game, Maharaj appears to be in that wavering state. So Sikh says, Maharaj, I have understood that my true Swarup is Atma and not the physical or the subtle body. Maharaj, I still have this doubt in my mind that who is the one undergoing all the different experiences then, or indulging into the experience of different things? Is it the Atma, the physical body, or the subtle body that is experiencing? So Sikh has curiosity to know more about it, which Maharaj will explain in the further Salok. So Sangaji Maharaj Kirpa, we will take a pause here. And Maharaj Kripa Karan give us buddhi to actually do vichar, to go through Gurbani, to sit and read Gurbani, to read the Gyan and to apply the Gyan, to do vichar of the Gyan in the buddhi, so that the Gyan becomes drid, so that the buddhi becomes the Gyan Roop, so that the buddhi, the man becomes Gurbani Roop. And that can only happen with the Maharaj Kripa if we ourselves are doing that abhyas. So it's very important to take a pause, read, reflect, and practice that in the life. So Maharaj Kripa Karan, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.